أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Inshallah, in this episode we continue with our readings on the تصريف العزي, our Arabic morphology lessons. In this episode we are looking at the فصل في المعتل. We are looking at the chapter on weak verbs. We are going to see weak verbs as well, how they also go through their تصريف أو تصريفات, how they go through their changes. So he says المعتل. He first of all defines when we say a verb is الفعل المعتل, what do we mean? He says هو ما كان أحد أصوله حرف علة. It is any verb that one of its root letters or more is a weak letter. So if you find any verb and the root letters of the verb, by root letters we are taking out is the harf zaid. So if I have a verb like gafara and then you say ghafara or istaghfara, the talk here is not about the alif, sin, ta that you've added. We are talking about the ghain, fa, ra. So if the radical or the root letters or are alif, waw or yai, if the root letters have alif or waw or yai in it, then the verb is said to be a weak verb. Any verb that has alif or waw or yai in it is a weak verb. We call such a verb a fi'lun mu'tallun, a weak verb. So he says, so when he says when he defines it and says that huwa ma kana ahadu usulihi harfa illatin, what he means is huwa ma kana ahadu al-huruf al-asliyati ahadu hurufihi al-asliya harfa illatin. That is what he means. Jamil says وهي الواو والياء والألف. What he means by the wahiya here, he is defining the harfa illa. When we say harf illa, we mean waw, yai or alif. وتسمى حروف المد. This حروف الإلا, they are also called حروف المد. Of course, if you have any idea about tajweed, you know that the alif, waw and the yai, they are the حروف المد. Even in our Arabic language, tajweed of course is Arabic language. It's also called حروف اللين. حروف اللين. جميل. والألف حينئذ تكون منقلبة عن واو أو ياء. Alif, whenever you find the alif in a verb, the alif is coming from a waw or a yai. The alif, whenever you find it in a verb, is actually a waw or a yai that has been changed to alif. Like popularly when you look at the verb qala, when we say qala, the actual root is qawala. Qawala. I think we've seen something like this in our lessons. So the moment you go to mudari or masdar, you find the waw coming. You say yakulu, the waw appears. You say qawl, the waw comes. Just like ba'a, ba'a, baw, alif, ain. The moment you go to mudari, you say yabi'u, the alif turns to yai. Or bay'un, the alif has turned to yai. So alif as a harf al-illa in a verb is mostly or is always coming from a waw or yai root. It says wa anwa'uhu sab'a. The types of weak verbs are 7. You can have a verb where the weak letter is the one starting the verb. You can have a verb where the weak letter is in the middle. You can have a verb where the weak letter is at the end. You can as well have a verb where the weak letters are 2. And these 2, one is in front, one is at the end. Or the 2 of them are together in the middle and the end. Okay, so you can have these dimensions of weak letters up to 7 types. So he says that al-awwalu al-mu'tallu al-fa'. Al-mu'tallu al-fa' bimana where we have the fa'ul fi'l being a harf illa. ويقال له المثال. Al-mu'tallu al-fa' is also called al-mithal. So when you find a verb and the weak letter is starting the verb, you can call it al-mithal, you can call it al-mu'tallu al-fa'. Why do we call it al-mithal? Sheikh says لمماثلته الصحيحة في احتمال الحركات, due to the fact that it resembles the فعل الصحيح, because the example, the مثال, the ending of it can take fatha, can take dhamma, it can take kasra. Afwan, it can take all the vowels that the fi'l sahih can take. Okay, so when you have a verb sahih like zahaba, it can take the alama of rafu, it can take the alama of nazb, it can take the alama of jazm. So it's zahaba, yadhhabu, and yadhhaba. You say lam yadhhab. Okay, so when you have a verb like wajada, which is a mithal, the weak letter is waw in front of the verb. You can as well have wajada, yajidu, the ending will take the dhamma. You say an yajida, the ending can take the fatha. Then you say lam yajid, the ending will take the sukun. So because it can take the harakat at the ending of it, it looks like the fi'l sahih, but its beginning is weak, its front side is weak. It says ammal waw, as for the waw that is beginning the weak letter. So if you have a verb, 3-lettered verb, 4-lettered verb, the first letter is a weak letter. What happens? If the weak letter is waw, these are the rulings. So example like wajada, okay, wada'a, verbs like this. Says if the weak letter is waw, فَتُحْذَفُ مِنَ الْفِعْلِ الْمُضَارِ الَّذِي عَلَى يَفْعِلُ. You have a verb, it begins with a weak letter. If you change it to mudari, the mudari comes on the meter yaf'ilu. Now when it is yaf'ilu, let's set an example. Pick your pen and write wajada. That is the example we are using. Wajada. Put it on the meter yaf'ilu. So the waw will now be taking sukun because it's the fa'u fail. So you have yawjidu, right? Yaf'ilu, yawjidu. There is a qaida. When waw falls between yai and kasra, the waw is omitted. They say that إذا وقعت الواو بين عدوتيها الياء والكسرة حذفت الواو. This is how they say the qaida. So when waw falls between its two enemies, the two enemies are yai and kasra. Yawjidu. So the yai before the waw and then the kasra after the waw. In that case, we take out the waw. When we take it out, what do we get? We get yajidu. Yajidu. And it applies everywhere. When you have a fi'l that is mithal, and the mithal, the weak letter in front is waw. If the fi'l mudari is supposed to come on the meter yaf'ilu, then the fa'ul fi'l will fall, which is the waw. The waw will fall out of the verb. And we see a lot of examples. So he says that بكسر العين, if it comes on the meter يفعل بكسر العين, and also from its masdar ومن مصدره الذي على فعله. If such a verb, you form its masdar, verbal noun, and the masdar comes on the meter فعلة, فعلة, like فتية, إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم. Fitya, I think it comes under the jumu'ul killa, the meters for the jumu'ul killa. Now, when you form such a masdar from such a verb, the waw falls. Example of that says بكسر الفاء وتسلم في سائر تصاريفه. And in all other tasrifat, the waw stays where it is. So when you have a fi'l mithal, a verb fa'ala, whose fa'ul fail is waw, when the mudari is supposed to come on the meter yaf'ilu, the waw will fall. Also, when you put such a verb on the verbal now, but with the meter fi'latun, the waw will as well fall. So he gives us an example. Takulu wa'ada. Wa'ada is also an example of mithal, okay, or al-mu'tallul fa. The mudari is yaw'idu, Idu. Wow is coming in between the two enemies. It's coming in between yai and kesra. So the yai wow goes off, then you have your ya'idu. Ya'idu. إذا وقعت الواو بين عدوتيها الياء والكسرة حذفت الواو. So he says that wa'ada, the mudari is what? Ya'idu. That is why we say the mudari ya'idu. So when you see ya'idu, it is actually on the meter yaf'ilu. And then the masdar idatan. Idatan. Wa'adani idatan. He promised me a promise. Jamil. So then we have, what is the idatan? The meter of the idatan? It is actually wi'datan. Wi'datan. Be writing distance. Waw kasra, ain school, dal fatha, taw fathatain. Wi'datan. The qaida says that if you form the meter of the verbal noun under fi'latan, the fa will fall. So the waw will go. Waw, when waw goes, the ain is left with kasra. That wouldn't happen. The kasra of the ain will be of the waw that is falling out is given to the ain. So from wa'ida, we take out the waw, we give the vowel of the waw to the ain. Then we get Aida. Aidatun. So that is what brings about the falling of the waw, and we get in a masdar like Aidatun. The masdar of wa'ada can also come wa'adan. The one promising, the ism al-fa'il is wa'idun. The one promising is called wa'idun. The thing being promised is called maw'ud. Maw'ud bil-ain. Maw'ud is something else. A baby, a girl that has been killed is called. That is what we have in the Quran. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ. That is Hamza. Maw'ud is promise. Jamil. Promise, something that has been promised. Promised. Says wal amru. The command from that is what? Id. That is the command. Id. One nahyu. And when you are going to prohibit somebody from promising, what do you say? La ta'id. Okay? La ta'id. Don't promise anybody. Then we have وَكَذَلِكَ وَمِقَ. وَمِقَ يَوْمِقُ. Then you have يَمِقُ. مِقَةً. وَمِقَ بمعنى to fall in love. فإذا أزيلت كسرة ما بعدها أعيدت الواو. If the kasra that comes after the waw is taken away, the waw will now come back because now the second enemy is not there. So we have أعيدت. He said we have أعيدت الواو المحذوفة. The waw that has been omitted is brought back. So you have wa'ada ya'idu. You want to put it in the passive voice. You say you adu. You adu. Say lam you ad. Now you have yai dhamma, waw, ain fatha. So the waw you wouldn't drop it. Jamil. And then we have وتثبت في يفعل بالفتح. When the mudari is يفعل, the waw stays. كوجلة. You have a verb like وجلة. وجلة بمعنى to fear. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. وجل بمعنى to fear. يوجل. The mudari is يوجل. In that case, we don't take nothing away because it is ala wazn yaf'alu. والأمر منه, command, when you want to form the command from wajila, it becomes ijal. Ijal. What happens? You have yawjalu. If you are forming the fail amr, what do? You drop the harful mudari'ah first of all. So you have yawjalu. You drop the harful mudari'ah. You are left with waw sukun, jim, fatha, lam, dhamma. You can't pronounce waw sukun in the beginning of a word. So you bring the hamza tul wasl, the alif, to aid you pronounce. Alif kasra. Because the ainul fi'l here, jim here is having fatha. I've already told you if you bring the alif of the amr, if the ainul fi'l is fatha or kasra, the alif will take kasra. If the ainul fi'l is dhamma, the alif will take dhamma. So kataba yaktubu, you say uktub, uktub. Qatala yaktulu, uktul. The hamza, the alif in front is taking dhamma because the taw, which is the ainul fi'l, is taking dhamma. But then you have something like shariba, yashrabu. The ra here is having fatha, which is the ainul fi'l. When you bring the alif in front, you say ishrab, ishrab. Jamil. Dhahaba yadhhabu, idhhab. Okay. And so you bring your alif, and then since jim is having fatha, the alif will take kasra. So you are supposed to say iwjal for the amr. Iwjal. Waw, when it is sakin, and what comes before waw is kasra, the waw is changed to yai so that it will serve as a mad. So instead of saying iwjal, you just say ijal. Makes it easier. Iwjal, just say ijal. Okay. So إذا سكنت الواو وكسر ما قبلها, the waw will be changed to yai, as the qaida will read for us clearly here. So it says that ijal, that is the command. Asluhu iwjal. Kulibat al-waw ya'an. The waw was changed to yai. Why? لسكونها أي لسكون الواو وانكسار ما قبلها, and what comes before it is taking kasra. So what is the qaida you start from this? إذا كانت الواو ساكنة وما قبلها مكسورة قلبت الواو ياء. That is the qaida. You can write it down. فإن انضم ما قبلها, أي إذا كانت الواو ساكنة وما قبلها مدمومة, what happens? عادت الواو, the waw will come back because now the waw will serve as mad. فتقول يا زيد يا زيدوجل. The same verb, the iwjal verb, you know hamzatul wasl. Follow me very well in this point. In the sentence ya zaidu ijal, that is it. But what do you know about hamzatul wasl? Hamzatul wasl, the alif without hamza on top of it. That is what we call hamzatul wasl or aliful wasl. We all know that when this alif, it falls in between words or letters, we jump it. So when you say ya zaidu, you are moving straight to the ya school. So what it means is that now dal is having dhamma. The originally waw that was there, that was changed to yai, will now be more fitting. So that you say ya zaidu jal. You don't say ya zaid ijal. But in the sentence you write ya zaidu ijal. In pronunciation you say ya zaidu jal. You bring back the waw, lafzan. Okay. Says tulfazu bil wawi wa tuktabu bil yai, because it is still an independent word. So you follow the qaida, write it with yai or you pronounce it with waw. He says wa tathbutu aidan, ay tathbutu al waw aidan fi yaf'ulu bid dam. If the mudari is also yaf'ulu, the waw will stay. Ka wajuha, when we say wajuha ar-rajul bimana sara sharifan, the person has become honorable. So wajuha hadha ar-rajul, this man has become honorable or notable. So wajuha, the mudari, you say yawjuhu, ala wazni yaf'ulu, so the waw stays. Amr, the command from there, you say ujuh, yani sir sharifan, become honorable. The one nahyu, the prohibition from it, what do you say? La tawjuh, okay, do not become honorable or do not become notable. Says wa huzifatil waw min yata'u. It's come to give us some exceptions. We've said that the waw is only taken out when the mudari is yaf'ilu. For yaf'alu, for yaf'ulu, the waw stays. You have an example: yata'u, yasa'u, yada'u, yaqa'u, yada'u, yahabu. All these are not like ya'idu. They are not like yajidu. So that you say, okay, because of the kasra, the waw was taken off. What happened to these verbs that we cannot see the waw will fail? Come here with me. We have the first verb wata'a. Wata'a. Okay. Wata'a, the mudari is yawta'u. Yawta'u. Okay. Yawta'u. Now, when the fi'l mudari, the ainul fi'l of the mudari is part of the huruf al-halq, or the lam of the mudari is part of the huruf al-halq. Mostly it is treated like the one with the kasra. Take this again. When the ainul fi'l or the lamul fi'l is part of the huruf al-halq, it becomes the exception. Even though you find it ala wazni yaf'alu, still the waw will fall because that is an exception. So you find something like wasi'a, instead of yawsa'u, we say yasa'u. Yasa'u. Because ayn is part of the huruf al-halq. Hamza is part of the huruf al-halq. What are the huruf al-halq? For those who have done tajweed, this is quite easy for you. The 6 letters of the halq, you have your hamza, you have your ayn, you have your gain, you have your ha, you have your kha, and then you have your ha. These 6 letters, they make the huruf al-halq. For those who have done tajweed, beginner tajweed, with the maharij al-huruf, you already know these things and they are quite easy. So because of that, you see verbs like yasa'u, yata'u, yata'u. The hamza at the end, which is the lamul fi'l, is part of the huruf al-halq. Afwan. The hamza is part of the huruf al-halq, which is the lamul fi'l. When you come to yasa'u, the lamul fi'l is ayn. Huruf al-halq, yada'u, yaqa'u, yada'u, like that. Look at yahabu. The ha is part of the huruf al-halq. So when the ainul fi'l or the lamul fi'l is part of the huruf al-halq, they become the exception. Even though their wazn is yaf'alu, the waw will still fall. Says لأنها في الأصل يفعل بالكسر. Because why is it an exception? Because originally the root is يفعل. ففتحت العين, and the ayn was made maftuh. Why was it made maftuh if the root is yaf'ilu? Why was it made marfu? لحرف الحلق, because of the harf al-halq. Arabs are always going towards the ease. The original Arabic language was tilting towards ease. It's always tilting towards ease. لحرف الحلق بعد حذف الفاء. After the fa was taken off, the harf al-halq, for the sake of it, we make it fatha. So instead of saying yati'u or yasi'u or yadi'u or yaqi'u, instead of saying it like that, it makes pronouncing the harf al-halq a bit difficult. So when you make it fatha, it becomes easy. Yada'u, yata'u, yaqa'u. Jamil. And so because of the asl yaf'ilu, it was taken away. But in writing, you find the ainul fi'l having fatha. Jamil. And then he says, وَحُذِفَتْ مِنْ يَذَرُ لِكَوْنِهِ بِمَعْنَى يَدَعُ. That he is now mentioning exceptions. So you see, from the حُذِفَتْ الْوَاوُ مِنْ يَطَعُ coming, he's telling you about those that you see that you feel like they don't follow qaida, but they follow qaida in a way. It says, وَحُذِفَتْ مِنْ يَذَرُ. When we say يَذَرُ, ذَرْنِي وَمَنْ خَلَقْتُ وَإِيدًا. ذَرْ, بمعنى to leave. يَذَرُ, he leaves. بمعنى يترك. Why is yadharu the waw of the fail taken off? The verb is wadhara. Wadhara. Why is it not yawdharu? Because the da is having fatha. Why is the waw falling even though what comes after it is not maksur? Because it is in the meaning of yada'u. Yadharu, it's the same meaning as yada'u. Yada'u wada'a, bimana to leave. Yadhara, yadharu, bimana wadhara, bimana to leave. Bimana taraka, both of them. So because yadharu falls in the force of yada'u, the treatment of yada'u affects it. Because yada'u, the ayn is harf al-halq. And so we give the dha here fatha because of that. If not, Yadaru has no problem at all. You have your verb wadhara. Write with me, wadhara. The mudari would have been yawdharu, yawdharu. No problem, nothing would fall. But because it falls in the shadows of wada'a, whose root mudari is yawdi'u, yawdi'u. Jamil. Yawdi'u, because of the harf al-halq, the lam al-fail being harf al-halq, then we say, we drop the waw, and then we have yadi'u, yadi'u. But because of the harf al-halq, then we give the dal fatha, we say yada'u, yada'u. And so we have yadharu because it looks like yada'u. Not looks like it's the same meaning with it. And then he says, وَأَمَاتُ مَاضِيَ يَدَعُ وَيَذَرُ. The Arabs, the grammarians, they have something, they say, أَمَاتُ مَاضِيَ يَدَعُ وَيَذَرُ. That the Arabs, they killed the past tense of yada'u and yadharu. They don't use wada'a, they don't use wadhara. Not completely. It is just what we call the shadh. They barely use it. They barely use wada'a. They barely use wadhara. They all, what do they use? They use taraka in place of this, in place of their past tense. But the mudari, they use it. The amr, they use it. You know of dharni, dharni, leave me. Okay, dharni wa man khalaqtu wahida. And then he says, وَحَذْفُ الْفَاءِ دَلِيلٌ عَلَى أَنَّهُ وَاوِيٌّ. So when you look at the yadharu, even though the past tense is not so popular, we don't see it. But because of the foul being omitted in the mudari, we know that it is wawiyun. It is mu'tallul fa bil waw. We can tell that it is wadhara. Jamil. Yes, wa ammal ya'u. What does it mean by wa ammal ya'u? If you have a fi'l mithal and the weak letter beginning the verb is yai. Example of that, he gives it to us: yamuna, ya'isa, yasara. This three-lettered verb, the beginning is yai, a weak letter. So it is mithal or mu'tallul fa bil yai. Says wa amma al-yaw fatasbutu ala kulli hal. When the weak letter in front is yai, every way, everyhow, the yai will be available. Nahu, example, yamuna. When we say yamuna, bimana, to become wealthy, yani to your life to be good. Jamil. If you are having these copies, they bring the meaning somewhere down there. Yamuna rajulu bana sara dha baraka. The person is now having a lot of baraka and his life is good. So yamuna, the mudari is what? Yaymunu. Yaisa, to despair. The mudari is what? Asu. The yai stays. Yasara, the mudari is yaysiru. Jamil. Says وتكون في أفعل من الياء. The yasara, the ya'isa, yamuna, if you are going to form af'al from it, things that he feels that might give us some difficulty, he tries to solve it with us. Of course, just as you say af'ala, say aisara. Jamil. Says وتكون في أفعل من الياء aisara. Aisara, the mudari, yusiru, isaran. The masdar is isaran. فهو موسر موسر. وذاك موسر مفعول. اسم الفاعل موسر. اسم المفعول موسر. أصله ميسر for the اسم الفاعل. And then ميسر for the اسم المفعول. But what happens? The same qaida we gave to the waw. We said that إذا كانت الواو ساكنة وكسر ما قبلها أو وكان ما قبلها مكسورا قلبت الواو ياء. If what comes before the waw is kasra and the waw is sukun, the waw is turned into yai so that it serves as mad. Same thing applies to yai as well. When you have yai having sukun, and the yai sukun is preceded by a letter with dhamma, the yai you change it to wow so that it will serve as mad for the dhamma before it. So the same way, إذا كانت الياء ساكنة وضم ما قبلها أو وكان ما قبلها مضموما قلبت الياء واوا. Simple. So instead of muisirun, the yai is kun, change it to wow, so it becomes musirun, mad. Jamil. فقلبت الياء, he says أصله muisirun أو muisarun. فقلبت الياء منهما واوا, the yai was sent to wow. Why? لسكونها, because the wow, the yai is having sukun. وانضمام ما قبلها, and what comes before that, the yai is having dhamma. In that case, you change it to wow to serve as mad. Jamil. The last concept for this that might be difficult for us, forming the ifta'ala. Forming the ifta'ala minhuma. If you have wajada, mithal al-wawi, al-mithal al-wawi or al-mithal al-ya'i, and you want to form ifta'ala from it, what happens? Tuklabani, the waw or yai is changed to ta. So you want to form ifta'ala from wajada. Let me set this example. We will find an example here, but then you have wajada. You want to form ifta'ala. What would it have been? Tajada. It would have been tajada. But the qaida says that we change the waw to ta. So you have it tajada. It tajada. Taw skun, taw fatha. What do? Idgham. You do idgham, so you have it tajada. You put just one ta with shadda, then you have it tajada. That is what happens even when it is a yai. Just tuklabani ta'an, you change the waw or the yai to ta. Wa tudghamani fi ta'il ifta'ala. Then you do idgham of that ta into the ta of the ifta'ala. Nahu, for example, itta'ada. Itta'ada is from wa'ada. From wa'ada, you come to iwta'ada. And I wasn't ifta'ala. Iwta'ada, you change the waw to ta, then you get two tas, then you do idgham, then you have itta'ada. Yes, itta'ada, yatta'idu, itta'adad. Itta'ada, you are to accept a promise. فهو متعد اسم الفاعل متعد, somebody who has accepted a promise. وذاك متعد. متعد is the one that his promise has been accepted. That is the اسم المفعول. And then you have ittasara, yattasiru, ittisaran. Where is ittasara coming from? Yasara. Yasara, you have ittasara. And I wasn't ifta'ala. Then the ya you change it to ta, then you have ittasara. You do idgham of the two ta, then you have ittasara. Ittasara yattasiru ittisaran. فهو متسر وذاك متسر. وقد يقال, and it might be said, إتعد يتعد فهو متعد وذاك متعد. He said this might be said. Yani shares something that is possible. It's not pushing that away completely. And he says وإتصر يتصر فهو متصر وذاك متصر به وهذا مكان متصر فيه. يعني مكان واسع. You are comfortable in there. So that can be said. It's not always that the idgham is done. Jamil says وحكم ودّ يود كحكم عدّ يعد. So if you have a verb like wadda, which is a mithal, because that the root of it will be wadada. Okay, wadda, you have yawaddu. Says how do you treat such a verb? You treat it just like abda ya'addu. Okay, وتقول في الأمر, in the command form, just as you say i'dad, you say idad. That is how you command it. Okay. The surf lessons, of course, you need to be holding your pencil and be following as I write and be writing as I write. Of course, it should have been on a board, but then I don't have that setting yet. Inshallah, things will loosen up and then we will get a good setting for these lessons. You'll get a board to be writing all these things on it. Inshallah, if there is any questions, do not hesitate. Don't forget to share for others to also benefit. Till we meet again, have a very good Arabic time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.